Hello everybody, it's your boy Jerry Reviews back at another video, here to bring you another review, not another review, what the fuck am I talking about? A different video that I've been doing that I haven't done lately. So, today I want to talk about a specific creepypasta, but not just any creepypasta, it's thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of creepypastas, all created into one universe, called the SCP Foundation. Now, if you don't know what the SCP Foundation is, I'm going to tell you. So, welcome to what is the SCP Foundation, and that's what I'm calling this video. The SCP Foundation in the creepypasta is a creepypasta universe that exists on its own besides the creepypasta. So, you know, creepypastas usually have their single universes, like for each story, and then they have a creepypasta that has a full-on like a full-on universe, like Slenderman has proxies. That would be considered its own universe. Creepypasta, the SCP Foundation is its own creepypasta universe, and basically what it is a non-governmental country organization that have been since I don't know the down time, but like believe around 1890 or something like that. So. Have spent the entire time not 1890. Around 1890. Around that time. Has been basically going through the world, but they have different massive sites all over the world for storing, containing, and protecting people from these things called SCPs, which are inanimate objects, actual creatures, sometimes even people with that have anomalies or supernatural abilities or problems or abilities, whatever it is. It's something. Anything could be anything. For example, I'll give you an example of one. One of the SCPs I personally kind of enjoy is called SCP-173. They all have a number for it. And sometimes the numbers have letters, and sometimes there's an add-on to the number, because the SCP could create another version of itself, or something like that. Or create another thing. SCP-173, otherwise known as the statue, is a statue consists of two eyes of a face, and it remains stationary. Here's the kicker, though. It remains stationary as long as you keep your eyes on it. So, if you don't keep your eyes on it, it moves faster than the speed of sound and the sight, and it will break, and it will appear behind you and break your neck. So yeah, it will kill you. Anyways, that would be an example of an SCP. The SCP Foundation, basically, job it is to find these SCPs, take them in, capture them in the wild, okay, bring them to a site for a research, classification, and containment. There are 4 levels of being for an SCP. Object class, which they're called object classes. There are 4 object classes. There's object class safe, which means it's non-threatening. It can't do any real harm, but it still needs to be put in like a containment breach and some containment, and it still needs, but it can sometimes be allowed to roam the site it's been contained in, if it's a sentient thing. 2, object class Euclid, which is medium to danger. It can be dangerous, which is actually SCP-173 I just mentioned is a Euclid class. Surprisingly, object class 3, Keter. That's one of the most dangerous ones. Okay, object class 3. Keter means it's so dangerous that it could has the possibility of creating the end of the world. If something fucks up in its containment and stuff like that. Object class 4 is only one of them that I've only known of so far, and that's called Thominoid. A Thominoid, and it is the object class, the SCP that's on it as a Thominoid. It's SCP-3000, which is a creature that has represents a gigantic manta ray eel that lives in the ocean. Let's just say going anywhere in like 150 meters near it makes your brain not able to think. You are not able to think. You're basically all your thought process is here, boy, gone. You're still able to like your brain shuts down, but you're still able to contain vital functions like. But anything that has to do with thought itself is all gone. You also become extremely confused, and SCP-3000 also does not need to eat, but eats anyways. And yes, it will eat you. It's a huge ass eel. Also, SCP-3000 is used as a when it eats, after it eats while it's digesting, it does not permit waste per se, but it releases a thing from its skin after it eats. A compound, and this compound is actually used by the Foundation after they retrieve it every time they feed it, for an amnesiac, for people who've seen too much, in their thing. Now, this is a group, the SCP Foundation is part of, comprised of researchers, doctors, police, like anything you can think of, there's probably there. And as well as D-class personnel. D-class personnel are basically, they're the people who, it's hard to explain, but I'll give you an example. A D-class personnel person is the lowest personnel. They're actually, what they really are, is they are prisoners, people who committed murder and stuff like that. And instead of going to jail or, being executed, they donate their prison sentence time to working for the agency, but doing so could put you at risk. Let's say, for example, you could be a test subject on one of the SCPs that are really fucking dangerous. Like, I don't know, SCP-173. Let's see. SCP-049. SCP-096. Otherwise known as a Shy Man, which is literally the understatement of being shy. Actually, 096, I'll explain to you about him. 096 kind of looks like the Rake, but nah. He is in a cell 24/7, and he sits a corner, and he does not, he doesn't eat or sleep. He doesn't need to eat, sleep, or anything like that. And as long as no one sees his face, he's hunky-dory. The moment someone sees his face, like legitimate face, or it doesn't have to be just a regular face. It could be through a monitor. It could be through a drawing. It could be through a painting. It could be not through a painting. Actually, the painting doesn't work. It could be through a photograph, a video feed, or in real life, and they see his face. He goes hysteric, and will cry for about like a minute, and then he'll relentlessly pursuit whoever that saw that face and brutally kill them to death. By ripping out every internal organ and ripping off the limbs. But yeah. And then after he does so, he goes back to his normal dormant, kind of shy self. And it doesn't matter how or what's in his object or what's blocking him from the person that saw his face, he will power through it no matter what. Also, he has no pain registry because in his trying to capture him, they shot him with artillery weaponry and blown off arms and legs, or arm and shot him in what we consider the heart, and he didn't register it. He's literally an unstoppable tank, and yet he killed almost every person in that squad that was trying to capture him. Anyways, so that's what his D-class personnel would be. And the way I like to see this SCP Foundation is a very, very higher level of the X-Files in the show X-Files. Like, they're the highest level of the version. I'm saying this now. A lot of the SCPs in the SCP Foundation are very fucking dangerous. There are so many that are like Peter class that you just learning about them, you kind of get freaked out, you get the chills. Anyway, you thank God they're not real, right? The one thing I like about SCP Foundation is actual creatures that we have today, like the Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, the Jersey Devil, the Goat Man. They're all SCPs. They're all considered SCPs in this universe. I forget what SCP the last monster is. I think it's 26-CN. It might be that one. I don't know. And I forgot what I think. Oh yeah, God is an SCP. There's an actual SCP that's God, and it's SCP-326. I think that's what it is. Yeah. And it's literally God. It has the ability of omnipotency. It could tell you, like, every moment of your life from the moment you were born. It's literally, it basically is God. SCP, there's like so many SCP. There's one SCP I really do like, and it's I think it's the coolest one. It's actually the cutest one too. And you're like, hey, Josh, there's cute ones, yes, and this one's actually pretty cute. SCP-999. Otherwise nicknamed the Tickle Monster. It is basically an orange blob with a face, and it's literally so docile that and when a human comes in contact with it, SCP-999 creates a extreme feeling of euphoria and happiness inside a human subject. The only downside is that could kind of cause them to go and like kind of loopy, like insane from the extreme euphoria, and now afraid to could be walking into dangerous situations. The only other side effect of a SCP-999 is that there will be some case, but it's a 1 in 5 chance that one or a few humans will have a disdain for SCP-999 and will not feel its happiness euphoria effects. But otherwise, SCP-999 is actually such a docile creature, or blob, whatever, that the SCP Foundation and its containment unit, or site, just allows it to free roam the site because it's not harmful to anyone. Really, it's not harmful at all, because as long as you leave SCP-999 side for a while after, even when you go crazy, as soon as you walk away from it and not in direct visit, in a very few mile radius, you're pretty much will go back to normal. But the SCP Foundation is such a massive SCP universe inside creepypastas that I feel like I'm gonna have to talk about the other SCPs in the future. There are so many of them that are there's thousands upon thousands of them. I can't wait to talk about a few of them. I talk about the 3000. There's one that I particularly like, and it was not one I particularly like. I'll tell you about right now, and it's SCP-049. I talked about it earlier just now, but I'll tell him what he is. SCP-049 is basically a plague doctor, but not a normal one. His suit is his body. It's literally him. There is a skeleton underneath, but it's his body. It's his actual skin and everything, and he still thinks the plague is going on, and if he deems that a person with the plague, he will get very angry and violent and kill them. And then, no matter what he does, he will then proceed to do an autopsy on the body, and do a bunch of stuff, and add a bunch of chemicals, and somehow he will reanimate the corpse of that person and create SCP-049-1. The only problem with SCP-049-1 is it's in a catatonic state until it encounters a human. When it encounters a human, it becomes aggressively angry, and it will attack that human being until that human being is dead, and then it will go back to a contact state until it finds the next human to kill. And fun fact about SCP-049, when it first was caught, when it was being caught, or going to be caught, it sat there, and there was a bunch of instances of SCP-049-1. And all the squadrons were taking them out, he just sat back and was writing into his notes about what he was seeing, and then after all SCP-049-1 were gone, he just like, okay, I'm ready to go. And was like he didn't even give a shit. It's like, otherwise, he usually cooperates with the staff at the SCP Foundation. He sits down for interviews. again, this is all in the lore, so it's not really real. But like he sits down for interviews. Even though there is like on the SCP Foundation Wikipedia page or wiki page, you can actually listen to their the audio recordings of SCP-049 and a bunch of other SCPs. Another SCP I really like is, I forget the name of the SCP exactly, but it's basically a crab that is a pirate that can speak English. It speaks basically pirate English. It talks like a pirate. It sounds like a pirate and communicates with other people. It steals shiny objects like a pirate would, and it really it has other versions of itself, but they don't talk, and they're just more along the lines of his crew. And it would go into islands or on places and literally rob people like a pirate would. But it's a crab. It's a hermit crab. So is it a hermit crab? No, I think it was a regular crab. I don't think it was a hermit crab. And yeah. But definitely go check out the SCP Foundation wiki, and we'll be seeing you guys maybe soon for another SCP video. See you soon, guys. And also remember, Keter is bad.